everyone, it's Mr. Fine Pig HD here with a little Sunday analysis video for you. Last week it was on Monday, it was called Monday Analysis. This week it's on Sunday, so it's called Monday Analysis on Sunday. Now we'll call it Sunday Analysis today, but it's just my opportunity to sort of reflect on what happened at the weekend, reflect on the results in some of the other games, and of course Manchester United and any other major sporting events that happened, such as the Haye versus Bellew boxing match last night, which took place. So I just want to get this kick started with the absolute gashtastic game of football that took place yesterday. Manchester United versus Bournemouth, a fiery affair, lots of tackles, should have been maybe 3 red cards in that game. In the end there was just one, and a stamp on the head and an elbow from Zlatan. It was a very tasty affair. United didn't really get going. The first half an hour of the game was pretty good from United. We created a fair bit of chances. Zlatan Ibrahimovic spurned many of them. Paul Pogba created a fair few chances, which none of them got put away. He's getting a lot of stick today, and rightfully so, even though he did create those chances. Because the thing is about Paul Pogba, when it mattered later on in the game, he just turned into the invisible man. Well, not the invisible man, because he's got a great big yellow bloody noggin on him, so you can't really miss him. But in terms of being a footballer, he turned into the invisible man anyway. The problem with Paul Pogba is way too inconsistent. Yes, he does have these amazing games here and there, and he scores some fantastic goals and creates a lot of fantastic goals. But the problem with Paul Pogba, like I say, he's way too inconsistent. He doesn't do it regularly enough. One game he'll be very good, one game he'll be decent, another game he'll be absolutely gashtastic, another game he'll be world class. It doesn't make sense, and it doesn't add up to an £89 million player. When you spend that sort of money on a player, you're expecting consistency, you're expecting a match winner. And Paul Pogba, he is not that at the moment for United. He's still early in his return career to Manchester United. It's still early, but from what we've seen so far, the money's not justified. I hope that he manages to be a complete worldie between now and the end of the season, because that's what he needs to do to sort of justify that sort of price tag. In terms of the other player that there was a lot of talk about yesterday, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, well, he's getting a lot of stick on social media. And that game of football yesterday from Zlatan was absolutely IKEA. It was just gashtastic, Swedish, and really hard to put together. So I didn't enjoy it, but you've got to remember that his performances all season long have fired us to where we are in the league. Without Zlatan's goals, where would the goals be coming from? I mean, the one game that Zlatan doesn't perform, nobody else is really chipping in on the goals. I mean, Marcus Rojo's popped up with a freaking goal. That's how bad it is. So in terms of Zlatan, he's not lost it, he's not aging, he's not over the hill, he's not past it like a lot of people have said after one bad performance. What's he scored 20 goals in 23 games now, is it? Oh yeah, that's gashtastic. Guys should probably think about retiring now. No! He's putting in consistently good performances, he's allowed a blip here and there. You just wait and see next game, if he's not banned, I reckon Zlatan Ibrahimovic will come out and score himself a brace or something. So, he's getting a lot of criticism. I think a lot of it is wrongful. And even though I criticised him and said what a shit performance he had, that doesn't mean that I think he's, over the hill or past it. And it certainly is still our main man up top there for the rest of the season who's going to bang in the goals. And I think we should definitely be looking to lock him down for next season as well, because look what he's done for United this season. Look how the team's benefited. He scores some ridiculously important goals as well. It's not just the number of them, it's the manner and the importance of them. Yes, we've slipped up a lot of times this season. That's the problem. There's 3 or 4 games that United should have been winning that we've drawn against much weaker opposition. This game against Bournemouth being one of the main culprits and one of the games that pissed me off the most out of the whole bunch of them, because we really should have freaking won that game. In the first half an hour, we should have been a few goals up, but the finishing was just wayward from us. Now, United, what we need to do, we just need to win games. We are still in the hunt here. What really pisses me off as well is the fact that we couldn't leapfrog Liverpool. Liverpool slipped up the other day against Leicester, and United, what do? We managed to find a way to piss it away as well. That's happened 3 or 4 times this season already, and it's so infuriating. We've managed to get ourselves into a position where we just need to win a comfortable game of football against a team we should be beating, and we managed to throw it away somehow. So not too happy about that. Jose Mourinho's substitutes were completely ineffective yesterday, all 3 of them. Wrong decision in my opinion, all at the same time. Marouane Fellaini coming on there. I mean, the guy makes a better sort of bird feeder than he does a freaking footballer. Shouldn't be anywhere near the United side, but he is. Jose puts his faith in. I'm not blaming Fellaini for yesterday. He was absolutely not to blame at all. But the entire team barely performed. At times I thought Luke Shaw was looking decent, but then at other times looked very ropey. Paul Pogba at times, he played some nice passes. Maybe if his teammates have put some of them away, then we've been having this conversation. But the second half performance from Paul Pogba was just terrible. So he doesn't come away with this game from any plaudits. Rooney, I mean, did Rooney play that game? It was absolutely gash. The sun's right in my freaking eyes again here. You know, what's going on? It's the greyest day in history of the world, and just when I want to make a video, I'm getting my freaking retinas burned by the UV. Unbelievable. The problem with United is just the fact that we are complete bottle jobs. We are the Manchester Bottling Company. Many times this season it's happened. Take yesterday, for instance, against Bournemouth, a team we should absolutely be beating 99 times out of 100 at Old Trafford. They've been struggling recently. They had a good start to the season, but it's been a while now since they've been playing some nice football. Everyone's been battering them. Everyone's been scoring lots of goals against them. But then when they come to Old Trafford, United can't seem to get firing. We can't seem to just find that X factor and put the ball into the back of the net. You know, it happens time and time again. It's happened a few times this season against teams we should be battering. And that's the problem, really. It's like we are absolutely bottling it, whether it be Zlatan up top there, just going invisible and missing all of his chances and getting into silly situations where he could have maybe got sent off. Actually, hang on, I'm going to cut Zlatan a bit of slack here. Let's go back to Zlatan. Zlatan Ibrahimovic had his head freaking stamped on by Mings yesterday, and that bloke is a proper freaking Ming. What did he do? You know, it was like he's just slid in on Wayne Rooney. He's completely taken Wayne Rooney out. Zlatan's on the floor there. He gets up. He looks at Zlatan. He steps about 1.5 meters away from where he initially was. So it's not like just a quick movement where he's trying to step over someone or it's one of the bigger guys. He sees him. He sees that head. He sees that Swedish Swede. He thinks, I'm going to mash that Swede. And he takes a big step forward and almost does mash a Swede. It was a horrendous incident. You've got to say that from Mings was just a complete disgrace. Whether he meant it or not, it's a disgrace. But I think he's meant it. It looks like, you know, he's had a considerable amount of time to consider the situation. And he just thought, yeah, this is my chance. I'm stepping on the prick. And of course, they've had a bit of a physical standoff all game long. So it's not surprising. Zlatan did get his own back in a lot of ways a bit later on. They've both gone up for a cross. And Zlatan Ibrahimovic just elbowed Mings right in the face. That was the best thing that happened in the game. Now there's maybe talk of him getting banned for a few games. And would that be wrong if he did? I mean, he's clearly gone up and he's clearly elbowed somebody. And it wasn't dealt with by the referee. So if it's not dealt with by the referee, then, you know, I think that means it can be, there can be punishments handed out afterwards. Certainly in the case of Mings, I think he's looking at a lengthy ban, maybe a 6-game ban. Maybe a 4-game ban, maybe a 10-game ban. Who knows? You know, it's pretty damn filth. He's literally stamped on another human being's skull there. So I think it needs a fair punishment. Zlatan, he's retaliated, shouldn't retaliate, should be able to keep a cooler head than that. And he should maybe get himself a small ban as well. But hopefully not, because we definitely need him. You know, that one game against Bournemouth doesn't mean anything. He is our man this season, make no mistakes. He's the man who's scoring the goals. He's the one who's winning the games for us. So let's get the faith back in Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Anybody that, you know, is just writing him off now, saying, oh, you know, we shouldn't be keeping him next season. The guy's had one bad game, really. You know, there's been a couple here and there, but look at his goal-scoring rate. It's incredible. So respect to Zlatan, and if I was Zlatan, you know, I'd have 100% elbowed that twat in the face as well. So to summarise the United game, I mean, it was horrible, wasn't it? It really was a tough game to watch. All credit to Bournemouth. They made it so difficult for us, especially in that second half. We couldn't really break them down. You know, they did a great job defending. They were a bunch of dirty bastards as well. You know, Sermon got himself sent off as well. He's a dirty bastard. Tyrone Mings, we've just discussed what an absolutely filth bastard he is. So, you know, I always had this opinion of Bournemouth that they were quite, you know, a genteel sort of team. But turns out they're the new Wimbledon. Dirty wankers. Right, let's pretty much leave it for Manchester United now. Let's talk about some of the other fixtures that happened. Of course, Liverpool beat Arsenal in the game. The late fixture yesterday means they go up to 4th spot and Arsenal in 5th. It's a disgraceful result, really, because a draw would have been better for us, much better, obviously. But now Liverpool have gone further ahead of us when we've given our opportunity away to actually go ahead of them. They've gone ahead of us. Arsenal are bottling it, as you would expect. They're the London bottling company. We're the Manchester bottling company. You know, we're basically partners in bottling crime. Unfortunately, at the moment, we're both shit. Right, so I'm just going to talk about the boxing last night, as I was quite interested in it. I watched the match, David Haye versus Tony Bellew, and it was a decent affair. You know, first few rounds were quite tasty. Few punches landed here and there. Tony Bellew landed a good left hand in the first round, which sort of shook David up a little bit. Not shook him up, but made him a little bit wary. And he was looking for those big haymaker bombs to try and knock Bellew out. Bellew did a really good job of evading. And it was a decent tie up into about the 6th round when it turned into an absolute farce. David Haye injured his Achilles. Well, there was speculation that it's his Achilles anyway. He couldn't really stand on his leg, couldn't put any weight on the leg. And of course, if you're a boxer and you're throwing punches, you know, you've got to get that good firm base in order to twist and put those power into those punches and be accurate. And you could see he just couldn't stand up, the poor bastard. You know, every punch he was throwing, he was going over on himself. He was falling on the floor. It turned into an absolute farce. I mean, if I was David Haye's corner, I'd have maybe got him out there even a little bit earlier. But you have to say, heart of a lion. You know, he carried on fighting on one leg, and that Scouser Bellew still couldn't put him away. You know, so all credit to David Haye, all credit to Tony Bellew. He's won the fight in the end there. You know, David Haye's not fit enough, but he's pretty much won out on a technicality. I personally think David Haye was winning that fight up until the incident in the 6th round where he's hurt himself, and after that, you know, he's a one-legged man, and to just stay in that fight, to not get knocked out by a top-level boxer on one leg is quite an achievement. And if his corner had let him go, he wanted to get back into the ring after being knocked out of the ring. It's just the fact that he was on one leg, it looked like he was struggling. He could have got back up and continued. Now, the corner's thrown in the towel. Right decision, in my opinion, because Haye's just going to lose on points. And the moment that your fighter can no longer win this fight, then you should probably get him the fuck out of there. And he has obviously got an injury to overcome, but there's potential for a Tony Bellew, David Haye rematch, which would be quite exciting. And I think if David Haye remains fit throughout the fight, then he takes the win every single time. Because like I said, up until the injury, I think David Haye was winning on the scorecards, and it's only because he got that injury that Tony Bellew really was able to pick him apart, which he didn't really do. You know, it's not like he battered David Haye up. David Haye looked just pretty much the same going out as he did coming in. And he's put up a real good performance. He's come out of this with a lot of credit, you have to say. I've always rated David Haye as a boxer. Technically, I think in this fight, even in the first few rounds, it looks like he's slowing down compared to how he's looked over some of the fights over the previous 5 years. This is the one to me that sort of really shows the signs that maybe he's aging and he should probably think about hanging up his gloves. But I do feel that he's still got it in him to have a rematch with Bellew and beat him. You know, anybody disagrees with me, get your comments in below. I'd be interested to know your opinions. I'm not taking anything away from Bellew. He still won the fight against David Haye. But if David Haye had remained fit throughout the fight, I think it would have been a different story. And, you know, a fit David Haye is a completely different animal to a one-legged one, as you would expect. So let me know what you guys thought about the boxing if you watched it. It was quite an interesting fight. We've got Anthony Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko coming up next month. That's going to be an interesting one. Tony Bellew at the end of the fight did say that he perhaps would like to fight Anthony Joshua, which is just the biggest mismatch I've heard since David Haye versus Tony Bellew. But he won that one, so who knows? If Anthony Joshua beats Klitschko, maybe Bellew could be in line. I mean, I doubt it, because he is just basically a cruiserweight who's eaten loads of food to make the heavyweight. But he did that convincingly against David Haye. You have to say he looked sharp. Before the injury, he was still well in the fight. It's not like he was getting battered up either. So all credit to Bellew. But if he thinks taking on Anthony Joshua is a good idea, then, well, he's right, actually, because he'd make about £3 or £4 million for doing it. So you would, wouldn't you? I'd take an absolute battering for $3 million. What I'd like to say is I thought Tony Bellew sort of carried himself really well after the fight. He didn't rub it in David Haye's face. You know, he knew that he got injured. He knew that he didn't get the best David Haye on that night. And it was almost just sort of a technicality that he won the fight in the end. All credit to him, you know, he has won the fight, he has beaten David Haye, but he knows the only reason it was such an easy task is because David Haye was injured and standing on one leg. You saw Eddie Hearn coming over at the end of the fight, celebrating like he's Frank Lampard after he's scored a freaking goal in the FA Cup final, and he's just like, no, piss off, mate. You know, this is not the time. Tony Bellew pushed him away. He didn't want any of that celebrating, you know, straight after. He didn't want to rub it in Haye's face. He's got a lot of respect for him. He knew that, as I say, he was injured. He's gone straight over to Bellew. He's pied off Eddie. He said, piss off, you Frank Lampard want to be. And he's gone and embraced David Haye. That was fantastic to see. All credit to Tony Bellew. Seems like a nice bloke, or as nice a bloke as a Scouser can be. So that wraps it up for Sunday analysis, which would ordinarily be on Monday. Actually, I'm just going to say that it will be the day after Manchester United's big game of the weekend that we do this. So it may be Monday analysis, it may be Sunday analysis. It all depends. So keep a lookout for the upcoming videos. Also, please do me a big favour and smash a like on this video and subscribe if you're not subscribed to the channel for upcoming content about Manchester United, football and sports in general. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook at Mr. Flying Pig HD. So please do that. You can send me abuse there. You can send me nice compliments there. I'll treat all of them the same. But thank you for tuning in. Until next time, take it easy. Sort your freaking lives out, United, and have yourselves a good week. This is the Pig, signing out. Take it easy.